Skill 4. Effectiveness. When I'm on a deadline for a book, like right now, I spend huge chunks of my typical workday away from my team so I can work without being disturbed. On this particular day, I'm sitting at one of those long communal wooden tables that seem to be required furniture in any respectable hipster eatery. I like sitting at the communal table because I can always find someone to watch my stuff while I go to the bathroom for the 87th time this hour. The only drawback is the constant stream of people who come and go from the chairs around me, making the energy shift and change with each new addition. The first girl who sat down today was here to work on homework. I know this because her textbook was open and she had a worksheet in front of her. She tackled it like this. She read a little bit from the book, then she looked at her Instagram for a while, then she took a picture of her coffee and her homework and posted it on Instagram. It took her another half hour to find just the right filter on VSCO. After that, she focused in on the work again. She was doodling in the margin a second later. Then it was more scrolling and some Googling, and a while later she packed up to go. Not one single thing filled out on the worksheet she came to do. The next person who sat beside me was a bro. He was here with another bro. I actually like these kinds of dudes a lot. They're in their late 20s, full of energy and enthusiasm, and they quote Gary Vee like it's gospel. I get it. I'm in. Gary Vaynerchuk is my preacher too. In a nerdy sort of way, I was happy they were beside me. They had fancy laptops and yellow notepads, and they were brainstorming and ready to begin their work. After their initial chat, they proceeded to spend 2 hours, I swear on my unsweetened chai tea, scrolling Instagram as well. The irony that was fully lost on them was that they were scrolling their favorite entrepreneurial feeds, showing each other quotes about perseverance and hustle, all the while oblivious to the time they were wasting. I always feel so bad when I observe this happening to the dreamers around me. It's too easy to fall into time wasters and busy work that get you nowhere closer to your goal. I used to do this all the time when I was a young author. Back then, I had a really bad habit of rereading what I had written over and over and over. I would sit down to write for an hour and spend 45 minutes reading what I'd already written and inevitably editing as I went along. For months, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't making any real, tangible progress toward getting to my final word count. I wasn't getting anywhere because I wasn't actually doing any new work. I was just like the bros sitting next to me at the coffee shop. My guess is they'll have all sorts of collab sessions like the ones they had today and finally give up on the idea they're pursuing because it's not getting anywhere. If they're anything like I was, they won't even realize that it's not the idea's fault that nothing happened. It's their own. Have you ever worked on a goal, putting in all kinds of hours, and not made any tangible progress? My guess is it was because you didn't understand what to focus on. You thought what you needed was the time to pursue your dream, when really what you needed was to use the time you do have in an impactful way. To help you not fall into the trap of distraction disguised as productivity, here's every single thing I can think of that I've taught myself over the last decade to be not just productive, but highly productive. 1. Replace your to-do list with a results list. Remember in the last chapter when I talked about creating your roadmap? I mean, of course you do. That was like 5 minutes ago. But on the off chance you're like Drew Barrymore in 50 First Dates and your memory is faulty, I'll remind you that your roadmap to your goal includes mile markers along the way. These are the stepping stones that you use to keep you focused in the direction you're headed. In order to work effectively, you need to always be working toward your next mile marker. The problem is, like those guys at the coffee shop or me in my early days of writing, it can often feel like you're working toward your next mile marker when really you're just making wider and wider circles around your current location. So, to counteract this tendency, when you sit down to work from now until forever, I want you to stop making to-do lists. The average woman's to-do list is approximately 319 items long, which means you're never going to get through it anyway. Also, if you're anything like me back in the day, you'll spend your entire work time doing the easiest items on your to-do list, simply so you can have some items crossed out. But since none of those items get you anywhere closer to your next mile marker, it's all a big waste of time. So let's let go of the idea of a to-do list and focus instead on creating a results list. And by result, I mean what is the end result I'm looking for from this work session?